They just spoon feed their employees. They're like, oh, baby, let me do that for you. Oh, let me handle that for you. Let me do that. Do not do it for them. Even if you have a lot of energy, even if you are so passionate about business, even if your managers are really like taking initiative, this is not initiative. And if they are not the right person, if they're not fixing their problem, just fire them. The 5 things that you should never, ever let your managers do. If you're running a company that you want to grow your business to the next level, you need to learn how to manage your managers. By the end of this video, you will have a 5-step framework that will give you step-by-step clarity on what they should not do. In the future, I'll do a video on how to get managers to do an amazing job, but these are the 5 things that they must avoid in order for you to succeed in your business. And you're like, I'm a solopreneur, I'm just starting out, I don't have managers. Then as a manager, because you're managing people, you might have salespeople, you might be having vendors, you might have people around you, people that you work with, or you're planning to hire people. Make sure that you understand these 5 things in order to grow your business to the next level so that you could grow your profit and revenue and your cash flow starting today. So let's get started with number 1, which is personal attack. And if you are listening from the western side of the world or eastern side of the world, whichever way you are, the world has changed a lot in the last 25 years. Now, personal freedom, personal choices became much more important. Probably 25 years ago, if you're from the eastern side, or probably even 10 years ago, people will take your shit. You know? So meaning if you say stuff and if you abuse them and if you just irrationally scream at them, you know, and if you do all kind of stuff to piss them off, you know, people will not respond to that. People will be like, oh, I just want to stay in this job for lifetime. And most people, for their entire life, they lived in one location and worked on one job until they retired. Almost like a government job. That's what people did. Now, every small period, sometimes 6 months, sometimes 1 year, 2 years, some people 3, 5, people are changing jobs rapidly. So you attack people personally. One, that is irresponsible because you cannot let people down. And because we need to treat people. If you believe in some sort of creator, that creator created this species. And he has his own limitations, but we have to treat them with respect. So there is no personal attack. You attack only the behavior, which means that they're lazy, they're not doing stuff. You don't tell them, oh, you are lazy F. You don't do that. Instead, you tell them, like, you know what, you didn't take action on this one. What's going on? How can I help you to take action? Right? And if they're not the right person, if they're not fixing their problem, just fire them with love. But you don't have the right to abuse them emotionally, right? There's no way you should do that. So no personal attacks as a manager. That's number 1. Number 2, doing it for them. This is exact opposite of what I told you right now, which is some managers are like, you know, and this I have seen more in women managers than men. And I'm not saying this is only true for women. Some men do that too. They just spoon feed their employees. They're like, oh, baby, let me do that for you. Oh, let me handle that for you. Let me do that. And this is our kind of a hero complex, as in we are like the parents and it's as if like it's our child who like, and some people just lean into it and they take advantage of you. Like, and you will end up doing as a manager or one of your managers will end up doing most of the stuff. Why? Because this person knows how to manipulate your manager. So as a manager, you yourself as a manager or one of your managers, make sure that you don't let them do it for them. You can do this as you're training them. You could do it for them one time and you get them to do it and then watch them do it and then do it independently and then they are on their own. So there is kind of a learning curve and then you're done. You're not going to do it again for them. And don't let people make the same mistake again. Right? That's really, really important too, right? Don't let them make the same mistake. Then nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to change in your company. You're probably not going to grow because people keep repeating the same mistakes. Not okay with me. They can make new mistakes, but stick with new mistakes. no repetition of mistakes. So the second point is, do not do it for them. Even if you have a lot of energy, even if you are so passionate about business, even if your managers are really like taking initiative, this is not initiative, this is enabling. So you're diminishing their persona, you're diminishing them from expressing who they are. It's as if you take a flower, like, a budding flower, you be like opening that flower for it. Flower, oh my gosh, you must be really struggling, let me open it for you. No, that's not how nature operates. You don't like, if you see a fruit and you're like, oh, you're not like ripened yet, let me like do something and squeeze you so that you become ripened. So you don't ripe fruit like that, right? You don't open flower like that. You don't treat employees by doing it for them, which leads me to the third thing, which is play favorites. And based on our color, culture, where you are from, and if you work on a multicultural country, based on our ethnicity, based on our orientation, we might have some biases because we are humans. We might have some implicit biases, sometimes explicit biases. So what is the difference between implicit and explicit bias? Explicit bias is like some people are like, oh, I like only these kind of people, right? I dislike these kind of people explicitly. Some people are like, it's more subtle in their mind. They're like, oh, I don't like that type of person, and I don't like that person has that kind of orientation about life, about their sexuality or something else. Now all of a sudden we are playing favorites, because it's as if like you're giving the big cookie to the son or the daughter that you really love the most. Let's not do that in management. That will kill your morale, because the thing is that people are not dumb. People are really intelligent. They observe these things. So even if you have, it's okay to like some employees more than others, because it's normal, because you might like one child more than others, it's possible. But at the same time, be fair to them. No favoritism. Be fair to each other, because some people might show more initiative and you can bring them to your core team and you could help them on a personal level and things like that, but no favoritism, right? Do not favor one person. Always be just to every employee. Like whatever you give the person, you can fire people, that's perfectly fine. But once they are in your company, make sure you're fair to every children in your family. The same way you can be fair to every employee in the team, even if sometimes they frustrate you a lot, but still we treat them with fairness. That's really, really important. And that leads me to the fourth. And the fifth point is really, really, really important. But let me get to the fourth point and let's get to it and let's conclude. The fourth one is basically don't force them to do the manager's way. So you could go to a place and you're like, okay, this is a result that I want. And step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. Do follow these steps and get to that result. Don't do that. You can do that when they start as an employee. When they start working with you, yes, you need to do that. You need to teach them, hey, this is what we do. This is a result that I want. And these are the steps that you could use to get to that result. You can do that. But as your employee progresses, as your manager progresses, as your team member progresses, what you do is you would get them to be independent and tell them, this is a result that I want. You get it done the way you want it to get done. And it doesn't have to be my way as a manager. This is kind of an obsession for me as a manager, is to, oh, she has to do it my way, because I know the perfect way to do this. Then you are in other words, you're actually doing it for them by giving them the entire path. So you're kind of killing their joy. It's as if you're kind of spoiling a movie for them. Like, okay, in the movie, in the beginning, this happens in Jurassic Park, and then this happens, and all of a sudden, the dinosaur is like biting, all of a sudden, the curiosity is gone. And in order for an employee to be fulfilled, he need to figure out certain things. And those things, if you don't let them figure out, what happens is, it's kind of a robotic activities. They don't feel it. Everything is good. I'm doing a lot of things, but I don't feel accomplished. Why? Because there's no challenge to their challenge their journey because you're spoon feeding them. You just open your mouth and let me bring my aeroplane and then put that in your mouth. That's not how you manage people. That's not scalable. And then they become more and more dependable. They see a daddy or mommy in you. All of a sudden, what happens is now you become their full-time dad. You're basically parenting them at that point. It's like real parenting at the time. We don't want that. We want only passive parenting. And there is an element of parenting in every relationship, every business relationship as well. But you don't want active parenting. Active parenting is no, we are not trying to handle their unresolved parental challenges. What we are going to focus on is basically, here's the result. Whatever way you want to do it, do it. And final, and the most important thing, by the way, great job in focusing and giving so much importance to what your managers are doing. And especially if you're a manager, you're doing yourself. The most important thing in every team as a manager is to do not take credit for your team's ideas or wins. This I see time and again globally. So many countries, so many people from so many countries, so many managers. What they do is when somebody comes to you, they give you an idea, you kind of, maybe not. And then you tell them the same idea tomorrow as if it's your idea. You might not even notice that because you're like, oh, I don't think so. That's not a good idea. But you don't even know sometimes, and you go back and tell them the same idea that they told you. Maybe you will add like 5% into it. And you're like, oh, when I was taking shower, I had this great idea. Let's do this way. And your employees, everybody else heard you. It's as if you're like a naked king. Like nobody's telling you that you're naked. So make sure that please do not try to take credit for other people's work, other people's ideas. Same with other people's win. What happens in management in so many places, I cannot believe how much this is happening, this thing is happening, is that people will try to take credit for the win as well. So somebody do this successfully, you'll be like, oh, I helped them. I helped them. I struggled. I worked really hard and I helped them to succeed. If they fail, you go to your boss and say, not you, some people, I'm sure you don't do this, but some people do that. They go to their boss and say, oh my gosh, they are screwed up. They don't have a follow-up system. They don't have a planning issue. Do you see how different we humans are? In a sense that when somebody screws up, what do? We be like, oh, it's their screw up. When somebody wins, it's like, oh, yeah, I did it. Oh my gosh, my management skill is so good. I'm so good at this. And sometimes we don't even know that we are doing it. That's why I would like us to open our eyes and open our mind as managers and find out what are we doing? What are we doing? Especially the fifth idea. What are we doing to take credit for other people's ideas or wins and stop it? And even if you share a territory of win, in a sense that half of it is your credit and half of it is their credit, give them credit. It's okay. What's the big deal? Let them have credit and they will give it back to you. The best way to get credit is by giving it. So if you give credit to people, then people will be like surrounding and gathering around to give you credit. So ultimately, you're going to get credit anyway. So you might as well give it to them for their wins and their ideas. These are the 5 things that you must not do as a manager yourself or one of your managers. Make sure that your managers don't do these 5 mistakes and your business is going to grow in revenue, grow in profit, and grow in cash flow starting this year.